Welcome back to another tutorial on Power Pivot. This is Trisha Chatyani, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the different ways to create a relationship between two or more tables in Power Pivot. You already seen how relationship can be useful to create or do perform data analysis through pivot tables. Let's begin and see what data that I have here. I have the data for the Olympic Games where I have the athlete ID, their athlete names, the country or the region that they belong to, but the country names are in abbreviations. That's the first three letters, maybe, or the three-letter abbreviation that is given. I have the medals that they have earned and the discipline ID given to me. I have another data which has the country code. That means it has the country name, the abbreviation that we saw in the previous data, the country code, the continent code that is available. In the third database, I have the sports that each of the athletes are playing or the Olympic games have available, discipline ID, discipline, sports ID, and the discipline event. That's the event name that is given along with the sports. Then I have the continent name, which has the continent code and the continent name. What I need to do is, let's say, first of all, if I want to create a relationship, I will need to first add this data to the data model, which you are already aware of. If you want to know how to add this to the data model, you can go through my previous tutorials on the data modeling, and you will know how to do that. What I need to identify is which of the sports, which is the sports which is given here, which of the sports have earned how many medals from this list, which is already given in this list. Now we are already aware that there are two types of tables. One table will have all the transactions. That means this is your transaction table, which has all the information where you need all the information from different tables. You have another tables which are all where you get or you pull data from. For example, when you do a VLOOKUP, you have two tables. One table is where you have the data. The another table is a table from where you pull the data. The table where you already or you need the information is called as your transaction table. The rest are all your databases, or that is the database where you need the unique data to be available. So you need to be very, very mindful that if you have the medals given here along with the other information, what you're trying to create a relationship between, one of the tables should have unique data. Let's begin and you will understand what I'm talking about. Here, I want to know is which of the sports has earned how many more medals. So I will need to create a pivot table, which I can easily do that by going on to pivot table and add to the data model, and I can create a pivot table. I know that all the tables will be available in the all option. I can go on to the sports and select the sports into the rows. So all the sports are given in the rows. Now what I need is I need to identify the number of medals that each of the sports have earned. As of now, I'm just going to pick up the medals and put it in the values column. It should give me the number of medals, but what is happening? It's not giving me the right information that we can identify or can see by looking at this data. Now I know that I need to create a relationship, which we have already seen in my previous tutorials. To create a relationship, either I can go onto the pivot table window, which we have seen earlier. Another way to do that is through this particular window here on the right, which says relationship between tables may be needed, which is highlighted in yellow. Either I can say auto detect or create. Auto detect will not really give you the right detection of the relationship. I would prefer creating a relationship myself so that there is no issues in the relationship that is created. There may not both the databases may not have the same column name in the database, and so it will be very difficult for Excel to identify automatically which one to be created as a relationship. So what I need to do is, for me to create a relationship, I will go on to the create. and then select the table where I want to start creating a relationship. Now I'll start with the sports and let's see. Now I want to create between the two. So I'm going to say sports and the discipline ID. Where did I pick up from is the medal. So I'll say medal and the discipline ID as well. Now, if you look at the option that is given below, it says the relationship cannot be created in this direction because the related lookup column contains duplicate values. Now, what is happening? Why is this saying this? If you remember this, when we were doing the related function, what we did was we first picked up my data or my database where I need an answer, where I want to pick up the answer. Just like in VLOOKUP, where do we stay? We stay in the database where we need to pull the data or where we need the result. And we perform a relationship to the table where the unique data is available. Same thing has to go in our relationship table, but we are doing the vice versa. So what we need to do is we need to first take the table where we need the answer. In our case, it is the medals, and then I'll say disciplinary. Now you will say that I don't need an answer here, but you do need an answer in the form of pivot table. Your medals sheet contains the data, which is the transaction file, which contains all the data, and that is where that is from where you're creating your pivot table. So if you don't remember it that way, you can also say the ones which contains the unique data will go down or will go in the related table. So now what I'm going to do is first I'm going to pick up the non-related. That's the table where I need to relate to. The related table is going to be sports because I'm picking up the sports from there. And then I'll call the discipline ID. Now you can see that it is not showing any error, but it says creating relationship between tables is necessary to show related data from different tables on same report. And there is no such icon which gives you a warning. Once I click on OK, it will create a relationship and you can see how the relationship has changed the number on the count of medals. Now it's so simple to actually create a relationship between the tables here. Now, let's say I want to perform further analysis as to which medals have they earned. I can always pull the medal and also put it in the columns. And you will know which how many bronze, how many gold, and how many silver has been earned. This can also be done. So further analysis can be done using the power pivot. So this is how one way of creating the relationship. However, now that you know that how to create a relationship here, it's simpler. But what if you go on to the data here, if you see here, the NOC country region, while we know that it contains the abbreviation, it is very difficult to look at the tables and understand or identify which will be related to which data. What would I do is instead of doing that, I would want to go on to my power pivot window, which will make it a little simpler for me to see where I want to link it. So if I want to do that, I can go on to the diagram view, and instead of doing it on the pivot table, I can also do it from my diagram view in the pivot table. Here in the diagram view, like I said, if I want to create more relationship, I can easily do that by looking at what I want to link it to. Now I need to know so country code, I need to know which country has been playing, how many genders are playing from each of the countries. Let's assume that way. This is my transaction table. So here all the data will come. So I need to start my relationship from here and move the relationship to this. So what I'll do is I'll start from here and check what is that I want to link. I want to link the country code or the country or the continent code. If I want to just go ahead and check my data, I can go on to the data view and see where the abbreviation sits. In the middle, my abbreviation is NOC country region, while in my country code, the abbreviation is in the abbreviation column. So it's very simple to go ahead and do it now. I will just pick up the country region because I'm going to start from abbreviation And from there I'm going to pull it and move it to NOC country region. If I do this, what will it do? You can easily see that it is showing one too many. Now what is happening? Why does it say one too many? You need to understand this very well, because one to many means here there is one data that is just the uh, a unique data that you have, and here there are many data related to that particular abbreviation, and that's the reason that is being created. So here also you can see one to many. Think about how we did it in our pivot table. What we did was we first picked up the table which we want to relate, that is our medal table. But in our diagram view, we are doing vice versa, where we are picking up the table, that is the related table first, or data from the related table first, and then linking it to my the transaction table. Now both the things are doing the same work, but it's still you are getting the information, or the ways to put it in both the places are different. Both are doing the same work, same relationships are created, but still you can see that the ways to do that is a little different in both the cases. Now that you have created the relationship between the abbreviation and the NOC country, you will be able to create a pivot table including these two datas. And you know how to create a pivot table. Now you can create a pivot table on the existing sheet, or you can always go on to create a pivot table on a different sheet. So I'm just going to select my data where I want the answer on my pivot table and click on OK. Now I can start working on the country code and my data, which is the medal that I have here. So I can always call the country, and I can say from the medals what is it that I have earned, or what is the, or let's say I want to know only the genders that are playing, but I it will not help if I just put the genders here. So what I need to do is I'm going to also pick up the gender and put it in the column, so I know how many of each of the genders are playing from each of the countries. You can also put the medals here, you can put any other information also. So, for more details on how to work on this relationship, to understand the difference between related DAX function and the relationship, which one is better, I'm going to cover that in the next tutorials. And also, I'm going to cover in detail about the relationship cardinality, which is more of how this one to one and one to many works. This, which I spoke about when we went on to our Power Pivot window, this one to many or many to many, we are going to talk in detail about these two things in my following tutorials. So please keep watching. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you.